Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, Painkillers, with today's free Painkillers challenge. How'd it go yesterday? How well did you do acting as if you are perfectly healthy? 100% perfectly healthy in all areas and aspects of your life for 5 minutes. How did that go? How many times and how small of pieces did you have to break it up into? I think I mentioned that when I first started doing that, to get 5 minutes in a 24-hour period where I was thinking and feeling and being 100% healthy and absolutely living the life of my dreams and feeling normal, it took me, some days I would have to try for 100 times just to get it in little 3-second bits or pieces, or just instantly just hop into the feeling of I am in perfect health. I have perfect health in all areas of my life. And I would just for a couple of seconds try to feel the feeling of having perfect health in all areas of my life. And I got better and better and better at it, so that pretty soon it wasn't just for like 3 or 4 seconds or 5 seconds that I could do it and imagine it. Then it was 10 seconds and 20 seconds and 30 seconds. And then pretty soon I could feel it and act as if I was living that way for a minute at a time. And then it was, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. And now I can actually have an hour here and an hour there where I feel as if I am an absolutely positively normal person with perfect health in all areas and aspects of my life, and I'm living the life of my dreams. And I can do that for big blocks of time now. Now, I never would have been able to do that if I hadn't first started out instantly doing it, then doing it for 3 seconds, then 16 seconds. And there's some study and some information out there that says anything that you can feel and imagine for 16 seconds starts to manifest in your life. And you can look that up and study that. But I remember hearing that, and that was at a time when I was having a hard time just acting as if I had perfect health in all areas of my life for like even 3 or 4 seconds at a time. So when I heard that 16-second information, I got really excited because it gave me a goal to shoot for. So pretty soon, actually immediately, my goal became, all right, I'm going to act as if for 16 seconds. And then once I got to the 16-second mark, it's like something magical happened. And I don't know if it was just because I expected it to or because it actually is, there's something to the 16-second thing. But once I reached that 16 seconds that I could hold that image in my mind, it became easier and easier and easier to do it longer. So act as if you have perfect health in all areas of your life. Act as if you are living the life of your dreams. And before you know it, you actually will be. At least that's been my experience and the experience of all the people that I've shared this with so far. So what have you got to lose? Go for it. Act as if you are 100% perfectly healthy in all areas and aspects of your life, and you're living the life of your dreams. So today, what's today's challenge, Sharon? What do you got for me now? Today is all about words and the power of the words that we use and that we say out loud especially, but the powers of the words that we use in our mind and that we tell ourselves over and over again. Because those are the really powerful things in our life, because the words that we say, the words that we use, the words that we think, the words that we feel create what we experience in our lives. So I have learned to really manage my words, because managing my words manages my state. And by state I mean how I'm feeling about any particular situation or myself or my body or my health or anything. How I feel about something is definitely impacted by the words I use. There have been studies done about people's vocabulary, and the higher and more words they have to choose from, the higher they usually rank in their careers. And for example, in corporate America, very often, this, not always, don't ever jump on me and say, well, that's not true. I know so-and-so didn't even graduate from high school and he's a CEO. Yeah, I know, Henry Ford, yeah, whatever. There's lots of examples of that. But here's the deal. Henry Ford was a genius. He was an extremely intelligent man. Who cares if he went to school? You guys, Einstein was a genius, and he was also dyslexic. So all these names and all these labels are complete and utter nonsense. It's all about what you think about yourself, not even what other people think about you. But the words that we use are really, really powerful. And I want to share an example of this, and that we actually have the power to take words in and out of our vocabulary. Now, I've always been a words person, and I love words. One of the things I did to recover after my sudden cardiac arrest was I started a little book, like one of these little ring binder books, and it had 3x5 cards, but you could flip the pages. And every day, to focus on something positive, I would pick a letter of the alphabet. So for example, I'd started with A, and then I would brainstorm first thing in the morning all of the positive words I could think of that started with the letter A. And I did one letter a day, worked my way through the alphabet, and then, I did other things after that. But that was just a way to get me focusing on the positive words that began with a certain letter. And then I would think about those words throughout the day, and I would think of other words that were positive that happened about my day that started with the day's letter. So if the letter was S and I was going about my day and something happened and all of a sudden the word stupendous popped into my mind and it wasn't on my list already, then I would write stupendous on my page for that day of the little book. And that was just a way for me to focus on more positive words and to be actually looking for them as I went throughout my day. But as I probably have shared this story, when I first got chronically ill, I was 21 and I was in a town, not living at home. I was working for the summer in Valley, Nebraska, and I got sick and was in the hospital. And after that, I went home and I got sicker and sicker and sicker to the point of, after several years of that, I was really, really depressed. I mean, in my bed, I couldn't get out of bed for the most part. I got to doctor appointments with a lot of help, but I had a really hard time and I was in really bad shape. And I never had been a depressed person up until that point, but when the doctors gave me the news that there was nothing more they could do for me, I went into, I would say, very deep depression, and I lost all hope. I didn't have any hope for my future. I had put all of my faith and trust in the experts. I was young. I grew up believing that doctors were gods. They knew everything, and that if you were ever sick or had something wrong with you, you just went to the doctor. They would figure out what was wrong with you. They would give you a pill, or you'd have, if it was really bad, you'd have a surgery or something, and then you would recover and you would go back to your life and you would be fine. I'd experienced a lot of pain and suffering in other people and accidents and things, but they were in an accident and they got better. They went to the doctor, they went to the hospital, they got their treatments, and they got better. So at this point in my life, I really didn't have any experience with chronic pain. I didn't know anybody who'd had chronic pain or chronic illnesses. No one in my family really had chronic illnesses. My mom had a really rare illness when we were little girls, but that really had not stuck with me because she got better after by the time I was in grade school, 6 or 7, my mom was better again. And so the really bizarre illness she had pretty much dissipated and was gone by the time I was a little impressionable girl. So I didn't have any experience with this. So when I experienced it, I fell into a very deep depression. I also didn't have any experience with depression. No one in my family had ever been depressed. So I struggled almost as much with the depression as I did the illness and the effects of the illness. And the depression just made the pain and the sickness 100 times worse. And I was listening to some Tony Robbins back then, and he talked about, and one of the most powerful tapes I listened to at that time from him was about getting into state and managing your state. And he was discussing, and he used depression as an example. And I had not realized that I was depressed because I didn't have a name for it up until that point. Well, then I named it, and it actually got worse for a while. But I watched and listened to him a couple more times on the exact same topic, and it clicked for me. I didn't have to keep depression in my vocabulary. And I made a conscious choice at that time I made a bunch of decisions at that time to take back my life. But part of that was I totally eliminated depression from my vocabulary. I I didn't know how to get depressed. I decided that I would not make that even an option for me. For me to get depressed, I had to have absolutely zero, no absolute positive glimmer of hope, no possible chance of me ever changing anything. But here's the exciting part. When I made the choice that I was going to change everything and that I was going to take back my personal power, depression flew out the window, because as long as I know that I can control something and that I have the power to at least work my mind and make a decision and a choice with my mind, then depression is not even an option, because I can always decide to feel a different way. So I actually kicked depression out of my vocabulary, and I can honestly say for the next 37 years, I really have not felt depressed. Now, I will admit, last year, I sold a business that I had been running for like 35 years I'd been a part of. And I wasn't depressed, but I missed it. I didn't miss a lot of it. I didn't miss it enough to want to do it anymore, but there was a void there. And until I found something to fill that void, I was a little bit lost. But I never really said I was depressed or gave myself permission to be depressed. Now, I'll admit I was watching a lot of Netflix. So on the outside, if I really thought about it, I probably was having what other people would call signs of depression. But to me, I wasn't depressed. I was just in between projects that excite me. And so I just was a little off, or I was a little bit lost. But I never, ever used the word depression. I never said I was depressed. I never said I couldn't figure it out. I never felt frustrated. I just felt like I was in between things. And in between things, a little lost is a hell of a lot better than depressed, right? So not long after, well, I guess it was a long time after Tony Robbins, I was introduced to Esther and Jerry Hicks and Abraham. And that was way too woo-woo for me. I'm telling you right now, until I had my sudden cardiac arrest, and after that, and I did a lot more exploration and a lot more personal development and learning. Esther and Jerry, I loved them, but they were really woo-woo. So I didn't tell anybody I was listening to them. I liked to listen to them. I was really attracted to Abraham and all of their teachings, but I would never tell my husband. I told my adult kids now, but nobody knew I listened to them, because it was just way too woo-woo and way too outside what people in my circle thought about or were experiencing. And so to not let them know or think that I was crazy, I didn't share that information with them. But one of the cool teachings that they have always had is the ability to choose a slightly better feeling. And words allow us to do that. If I have a good vocabulary that describes all the different positive feelings and emotions that I can have, then I have a lot more options and a lot more feelings that I can feel versus anger, depression, fear, doubt, worry. If I can take that word and give it a slightly less emotionally charged version of it, then that helps me to feel a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And that's what managing our life and managing our state is all about. So instead of depression, I might be a little concerned. Instead of worry, I might be a little concerned. Instead of angry, I might be miffed or put off. Instead of, hysterical, I might be a little agitated. But there's always a word that we can choose, a word that we can use that will make us feel a little better than a super bad negative feeling. And so words are really, really powerful and really important. So today's challenge, you got my depression story, and I'm never depressed anymore. I mean, even if I'm having a super duper bad pain day, and some days I still have super bad pain days, we all do. I never, ever let myself get depressed. It's not even an option for me. It's not an option. It's not in my vocabulary. It doesn't happen. And that has made a huge difference in how I am impacted by chronic illness and chronic pain. Now, the other thing, and today's challenge, I just want to skip ahead to today's challenge, because I could talk about this subject probably for an hour, because I think it's so fascinating. Today's challenge, I want you to pay attention to your words. Pay attention to the words, especially the ones that you say. because it's harder to tap into the ones that we think, but pay attention to that too. But really pay attention to the words that you say, especially after I am. If you say, I am blank, that's what you're creating in your life. So that's really, really the spot that you want to hone into and notice what you're saying after that. If I say, I am awesome, and I say I am awesome a lot, and I'm not always feeling awesome, but you know why I say I am awesome? It's because that's how I want to feel. I want to feel awesome all the time. If I say, I feel good, I feel fine, guess what? That's all you're going to feel is good or fine. How many of you want to feel good or fine? I want to feel awesome, so go out and feel awesome. So whenever I catch myself using the phrase I am or I have or I feel, I really pay attention to what comes after that, because I know that that's what I'm creating. And if that's not what I'm wanting to create, I don't want to be saying that. So today I want you to pay attention, and every time you say I am blank, maybe just, if you can remember, write a little note of it or write it down. And then at the end of today, just tally up and look at the words you're using, the phrases you're using, how you're describing yourself and how you're feeling. Because I want you to take it tomorrow. I want you to take it the next step after you've looked at that list. And I want you to say, okay, if I said I'm really hurting 6 times today, what is a better thing that you could say that would make you feel better, that would bring your emotions and your state up a notch so that you're not enforcing feeling bad and you're reinforcing feeling good? So I really hurt today could be, oh, I have a little twinge in my hip today. Or I feel awesome. I try to substitute everything with I'm awesome. I feel awesome. How you doing today? I'm awesome. How about you? If I say I'm fine, I'm not doing good, you guys. I mean, and I heard a TED Talk about that about a year ago now. It's been a long time, but I was watching a TED Talk and a woman was talking about how we say we're fine. People ask us how we're doing and we say fine. And I actually cried listening to that TED Talk because it was so true. How often when we have a chronic illness or chronic pain, do we tell people that we're doing okay and that we're doing fine, or we're not doing so bad, or I'm having an okay day? If somebody with chronic pain tells you that they're doing fine or okay, that means they're really doing bad, you guys. I mean, we know that, but other people don't know that. And fortunately for me, my kids and people that know and love and care about me, they know that if I say I'm doing fine, that I'm really struggling and I'm doing the best I can today to really keep moving and really, really stay positive and keep going. And that's part of why I say on purpose, I am awesome. I'm doing awesome. So you have to pick something like that. I would really encourage you, in addition to the challenges, you're going about your day, notice what really makes you feel good. And if there's something that you tell yourself or you feel really good about, say that, use that. Last year I had a really bad flare and I couldn't get out of bed and get to the bathroom. And so for some reason, you got this popped into my head. So every time I was trying to take a step, I would actually tell myself, and sometimes I had to say it out loud, you got this, you got this, you got this. And that got me up and moving to the bathroom eventually. That got me back on track to look for other options to figure out what the hell was going on with me so that I wouldn't lose months of my life trying to get moving again. So our words and phrases that we use are super important. So today's challenge, pay attention to the words that you're using, especially if they come after I am. Write them down because you're not going to remember them. I mean, I hate to tell you to write stuff down, but if you're like me, it is my birthday today, so I'm getting older. If you're like me, you know that. If you want to really learn or study or figure something out, you got to write it down. And that way you're paying attention to it. We pay attention to what we keep track of. And writing down is keeping track of something. In business, you know, it's all about key performance indicators. And what we pay attention to is what we write down and what we track. It's the same in our own lives. What we write down and track is what we pay attention to. There's a reason I write down everything I eat, everything I drink, my physical activity, my supplements in my medications, anything else I might do that is new to me with respect to my health and my challenge, my health. I don't want to say challenges, my health, my perfect health, because I'm always continually improving and trying to create perfect health for myself. But I write those things down because number one, I know I'm not going to remember them. And number two, I want to keep track. I want to have a record so I can go back and look at it and I can learn what really works for me and what doesn't. And I encourage you to do the same. What we pay attention to, what we track, is what we get more of in our life. I want more perfect health in my life, so I'm tracking the things that contribute to my feeling better, my perfect health. That's it for today. Go out, make it an awesome day. Tomorrow is actually day 30. Sad face of our Painkillers Challenge. I can't believe it's day 30 tomorrow already. So put on your thinking caps today and think about the words that you use. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.